Okay, so we are live once again, and I have another unboxing for you. And this is another Masterverse figure, and this is Shadow Weaver. I believe you can get me through the night. I'll stop singing now. So yeah, you can see she's from the Princess of Power subset. There's Shadow Weaver, and it says Evil Mistress of Magic. Speaking of mistress, did you ever think that Shadow Weaver and Hordak, kind of had a thing going on? I kind of thought they had a thing going on. That's just me. So yeah, here we go. That's her in the box. There's the back, nice piece of artwork. They're casting a spell, and it says, "Once an apprentice, I can't talk. Once an apprentice to Etheria's great wizard Norwin, the power-hungry Beatrix betrayed her home betrayed her home world. What is with my coda decade there? But need to be able to talk. The power-hungry Beatrix betrayed her homeworld to the evil Horde and renamed herself Shadow Weaver. With the combination of Horde science and her own dark magic, she conjures fear in the hearts of Etheria and trust in Hordak. Little does he know, however, she secretly plots to overthrow him and seize power for herself. Well, of course she does. So there's another shot of her there. Very cool shot. So, it's the typical Masterverse packaging that we've had up to this point. They recently redesigned it, but I haven't found any figures from the series since they redesigned it. So that's we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's go ahead and get her open. You can see that I just got her at Walmart, got her marked down. Not like a huge markdown price, but I saved a couple of bucks, just like with Manny Faces. I found her at the same time as Manny Faces, but I kept finding other stuff to open. Like, I wanted to do that Tila figure right away, and I wanted to do that Nightwing figure right away. So Shadow Weaver, she had to wait for a little bit. And here you can see that she's got tape holding her cape in the back. I don't like that because it always leaves some residue on the cape. Tape is way too strong to be using on fabric like that. And I don't feel too much stickiness left behind on the cape, so maybe I'll be lucky in this case. Maybe. But I prefer for them not to do that. And of course, the rubber tabs. We all know I hate rubber tabs. They got one here at the end of her cape. I mean, I suppose it's better than putting a rubber tab through the cape. McFarlane Superpowers Wave 1, I'm looking at you. But I still just don't like it. I don't care if the cape hangs loose in the package. I think it'll look fine. All right, so here's one of her accessories, and this is an orb, like a little scepter, wand, whatever you prefer to call it. And then she's got some extra hands. And it looks like basically she's got two open kind of spell casting hands and two kind of gripping hands. And you can see that it looks very sinister and claw-like. She can cast that weird forgetful spell on Aurora and make her forget that she's a good guy or whatever. And her thumb is stuck in there. We go. So there's the other gripping hand. But I think for now I'm just going to keep the hands on there that she already has. And she does have a base to hold her up. And this is where oftentimes I would brag on them for including an action figure stand, but since she doesn't have feet at all, like they don't really have any choice, they got to give her an action figure stand. And there's some kind of residue of something on mine. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to have to clean it off. Set that aside for now. And this is a neat little accessory. We got this fireball. And I noticed what you can do with this fireball is that you can put it over the scepter. So that's neat. I'm going to leave that off for now, though. And now we got to cut through these rubber tabs that are holding her into the package. That cut off. There's one more over on this side. cut through that. Sha. And there's one around her skirt. Be about where her hips are, but honestly, I don't know if she has hips because I don't know what she's got underneath her skirt. I don't even mean that in a dirty way. I mean that in the I don't even know if she's got legs. I don't know what's going on there. So, and then when I was trying to get it out, I accidentally kind of scuffed her skirt a little bit with the X-Acto knife. I'm hoping that'll just buff out. I hate those rubber tabs. I hate them. I hate them so much. All right, so we see that she's got sleeves on her figure that are much shorter than I would expect Shadow Weaver's sleeves to be, but I'm guessing they're supposed to be covered up by her cape because you can see there's some stitching on there. So that's going to hold her cape closed. So let's see if we can get her arms through those sleeves, and maybe that'll cover up some of the skin on her arms. I still don't know why they would have painted it that way, though. I probably would have even if I was going to do that, I would want to leave the forearm green, but I think I'd at least go down to the elbow. It's just kind of strange looking without the cape on. But once you get the cape on, you can kind of start to cover it up a little bit. You still kind of want to, I think, be careful about how you pose her arms because you don't want to have holes at her sleeves. Anyway, let's go ahead and get the other arm through the other sleeve. And that one was slightly more tricky because of this looks like there's that little bit of residue on her shoulder there. Gross. Get that off of there. I don't want that on there. Some kind of dust from the factory. Oh, I hope it's dust. Okay, so now she looks pretty cool when I've got the sleeves on her. And if we look up her skirt in a professional manner, this isn't don't be a pervert about it. You can see that she's got just a little hole there under her skirt. We're being professional. Stop making the jokes. So yeah, you get a little hole, and what you want to do is you want to plug into the little hole the action figure stand. The action figure stand goes into the hole. God, what's wrong with you? This is a toy made for children. Okay, so we go ahead and stick her on there, and there she is, and that'll give her the illusion of levitating off the ground. So it's a little plume of smoke if you want to. Oh, now you're making fart jokes. Very, very mature. Okay. Whatever. All right, so so there's that. She looks a lot like what I remember her looking like on the cartoon. They did, of course, add some detailing to the figure. So, yeah. Let's have a look at her articulation, such as it is. So her head can look up about that far, but of course she's got this cowl on there, so basically it just kind of looks straight ahead. It can look down about that far, so that's a nice range of motion. Her chin actually goes into the cowl somewhat when she looks down. Now, I do notice one thing that's a slight problem with this figure, and it's often a problem with figures whose faces are supposed to be eternally shrouded in shadow. This happens with Orko a lot. Is really the only way you can do that is to actually paint the skin black on the face, so it just looks kind of like she's wearing a mask, or she's got her skin painted black on her face for whatever reason, and that can get you canceled these days. So I wouldn't do that if I was you. So but it is supposed to be that her face is, of course, shrouded in shadow from the hood over her head. So that's what that's supposed to represent, but it just looks a little too literal, I think. But what else are you gonna do? What else are you gonna? There's not a whole lot else you can do about that. She's just gonna have black over her face. That's just how that's gonna work. She's just gonna have a black face because she's not in blackface. It's not like she's trying to do a racial caricature. She's just got a shadow over her face. That's what it is. So yeah. Back to the articulation. So her arms move all the way down about that far. So not quite flush with her body, but down enough, I think. And her arms can move up about that far. So that's pretty good. Pretty good range of motion there. So she does have, of course, we saw underneath her robe, she does have the double jointed elbows, so you can get some good poses out of the elbows. Of course, this one is a little gummy on the upper part of the double jointed elbow, but that's about the range of motion that you get out of her elbow. So that's a pretty good range of motion. I think it's not like quite as wild as some of the ones I've seen here lately, but it's still, I think, respectable. Very well done. And then her wrist rotates all the way around, and it hinges back and forth horizontally like this. So, and it's that way on the other. No matter what hand you have in, that's how her hand does, which that's good for a spell casting character. That works really well for her. So there she is with the cape down. And let's go ahead and give her accessory. So the wand, scepter, whatever you want to call it, crystal ball. I don't really care what you call it. But the accessory that she comes with, there we go, fits nicely into her hand like so. Her head does rotate all the way around. Oh, and this cowl is a loose piece, so you can kind of move it around with the rest of her head. So it's not like glued on or anything. And let's see. There actually is some articulation under this skirt. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work, but I can see that there are quite a few joints under here. So I'm going to figure out exactly how many. So here's something I was that had me think about what was under her skirt. Again, not in a perverted way, but Hordaks think about it in a perverted way, but I'm not. But you see how it's kind of bulbous out there in the front, and I'm just kind of like, does she even have legs? Is it just kind of like energy underneath there? Smoke? Is it just force of will? So there's an articulation. I'm going to try to get it so where you guys can see it. There's an articulation right here, so she can bend forward a little bit and bend back a little bit at that articulation. So that's about as far forward as she bends, and that's about as far back. I don't think there's any articulation here, and if there is, it's not in such a way where I can get to it and move it around. So I don't believe there is. And there's also another so basically she's got an articulation about where her hips could be, and that can get her to move around in some ways. Hi, Aunt June, welcome to the show. So yeah, she can move around at the top, like basically where her hips would meet her thighs, if she had hips and thighs. She's got another joint here where her knees would be, where the knee would separate the thigh from the calf, if she had knees and if she had calves. So from that joint, she can bend back about that far and bend forward about that far. And she can, it's like a ball joint, so she can wobble every which way. And then, of course, where her skirt meets the base, you even have like a little bit of articulation there. Of course, you can rotate that around. Not that it matters because you can just turn the whole base, but you can also bend her a little bit forward, a little bit back. Not really so much side to side. It seems like the joint's in the base. If I can get it back out again. Yeah, you can see the joint is actually in the base. So really, you can move her from side to side, but how you would have to do that is to kind of turn her on the base and then kind of tilt her in such a way. So you can get all kinds of different interesting poses out of this figure from the waist down, even though she doesn't technically have legs. She's just got this kind of skirt that's like, it's mysterious how she propulses herself. I'm guessing like probably the idea of the design of this character is they were probably, they'd created Orko for Masters of the Universe, and they were thinking, what if we did like an evil version of Orko, and instead of making him like a childlike character, it could be like a witch, So it could be like this evil female Orko kind of figure. So, but they made her a bit taller than Orko too, obviously, probably because they wanted her to be a little more imposing. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the articulation. The paint scheme is pretty simple. She's basically just wearing this kind of magenta cloak with a clingy sort of evening dress to the body. And the cape, of course, is soft goods, wraps around her arms really nicely. It's doing a better job of hiding those green arms than I would have thought. So that's good. So her eyes are painted in with almost kind of like this metallic yellow, not quite gold, but more of a metallic yellow, gives it a nice sheen. So yeah, pretty simple review because it's a pretty simple figure. Not a whole lot to go over, but I'm pretty impressed with how she turned out. So sometimes you ain't got to go into a whole lot of detail to get your point across, I guess. There she is again with the flames on her wand. So like she's about to shoot flames at somebody. So we'll get one more shot of her and Hordak together. Since Hordak has the blast effect, we can have them blasting at their enemies together. So yeah, pretty cool. Shadow Weaver. So, and I've never had a figure of Shadow Weaver before. Of course, they didn't make one for the vintage line. There was never a Shadow Weaver in the original Master of the Universe line, nor in the She-Ra line, the Princess of Power line of the olden days. So, so we never had Shadow Weaver when I was a kid. They made one for Masters of the Universe Classics, but that was one I was never able to acquire for whatever reason. I don't remember why. I would have had to pass on her or whatever. So I never got that particular figure of Shadow Weaver. I think somebody did a vintage scale Shadow Weaver. Maybe it was Super 7, or maybe it was some other company. I know if you look on Cults 3D, there are a number of ways that you can, a number of designs that various people have done for vintage style Shadow Weaver figures. And I've often thought about printing one out, but I've just never gotten around to it. So that's pretty much it for her. We still have one more Masterverse figure to open because I found another one. So, so I'm gonna be opening him up soon. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I will say that some people might say that they have no strong opinion of this character one way or the other. If you see my wife, tell her I said hello. Go to condition beige. That's your hints. That's what you get as a hint to what the next figure from Masterverse is going to be. But that isn't necessarily next. Oh, no, wait. I had one more Masterverse figure before that. It's the third one that I found when I found her and Manny faces. So there's going to be one more Masterverse figure. There's going to be two more Masterverse figures. The next one coming up is not going to be the most neutral man in the universe. It's going to be somebody else. So, but you'll just have to find out who she is. Oh, did I say she? Oops. Well, there's another little hint for you as to what figure that might be when I open it up. So, but that's pretty much it for this episode. I'm glad my Aunt June was able to stop by for a little bit. Sorry you came in at the tail end of it, but she is a little weird. She's very weird. I mean, her name's Shadow Weaver. She's not related to Sigourney Weaver, by the way. That's just no relation there. They're although if they did a live action movie and they got Sigourney Weaver to play Shadow Weaver, that would be pretty awesome. That would actually be pretty good casting, I think. But that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you like and subscribe. All this fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure. Let me know what you think about this character. I like having comments. I like, having comments for, like and put the little heart react next to and respond to them sometimes if I have something to say. I don't often respond to the comments unless I have something to say, because most of my comments are just be like, yeah, or I agree, or no, or I disagree. Usually don't say anything. But if I have something else to say, if somebody asks me a direct question and I have a good answer for it, I will answer it. So that's pretty much it. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye.